Yesterday, after the Red Sox swept the Yankees over the weekend, started to play a little bit better after a pretty poor midpoint of May and June. They finally started to pick things up. Bregman's on the horizon. He's coming back here pretty soon. They played well against the Yankees, starting to hit a little better. Devers finding a stroke. Let's trade Rafael Devers out of nowhere. And let's not just trade him. Let's trade him for absolutely nothing in return. I think the Red Sox and Mike and I were on the same team here, that Devers is becoming a nuisance to what the team is trying to do, and he was being very petty about how the whole position switch out of third for Bregman, and he is a difficult person to deal with. That being said, he is still an elite hitter for what he has been able to produce throughout his career, and he is a valuable piece of that Red Sox offense. And the Red Sox, to trade him and to not get an absolute haul in return. I know the Giants are taking on the entirety of that contract. $250 million left. I know they're taking on the entirety of that contract. But the fact that they didn't get a haul in return of that, Jordan Hicks, who has stunk all year, the fact that that is the return, I think this is as big of a slap in the face to Red Sox fans and the entire franchise as you could possibly imagine. That's the bottom line.
Mookie all over again. You're basically giving up a top-tier talent, a top 3 player at his position for, I don't want to say absolutely nothing, because I'm sure they got something back from Mookie Betts.
They got Alex Verdugo. That's what they got back.
It's like, but at the same time, like, is this what that trade is going to be like? Now, Colin, I don't think he's worth $250 million. I got to say, I think the contract was ridiculous when they signed it.
Here's the thing, though. It's all about the ownership's willing to pay. It's not like we're operating against a cap. We're not talking about the football and basketball thing being worth it, because I think that's subjective to a certain team.
Kyle, this is from Buster Only, by the way. Buster Only discussed how the Red Sox were reportedly going to move Devers because he didn't respond appropriately to Red Sox owner John Henry. So apparently there was a little bit of animosity there from the owner with the player. Kyle, 2 years ago, he was upset they didn't sign anybody when he signed the big contract. We all know what happened this year when they asked him to move the first base to start taking ground balls after being told he's getting the boot from third. I think this was a long time coming. And I think they sat down and said, do we think Rafael Devers is going to be worth the squeeze 3 years down the line? Probably not. But to your point, I totally see why the Red Sox Nation would be mad. You traded Mookie Betts, and now you trade Rafi Devers. You haven't won over 85 games in 3 years. I've been on you about how the Red Sox need to get back to being the Red Sox. This is a move for the future. This isn't a move for right now and a team who had aspirations, Kyle, of winning a pennant and maybe going on to a big playoff run.
You know, let's just think about this grand scope. Let's think about the trajectory of what the Red Sox have done this year. They signed Bregman. They get Bregman involved. They tell Devers that he is no longer going to be playing third base. All right, he goes to DH, and he starts the season terribly. He's awful to start. He's adjusting to the DH, whatever it is. Offensively, couldn't get it going. The Red Sox starting to turn it around a little bit. More importantly, Devers starting to turn it around a little bit, has had a better than pretty good, last about 2 months of the season, month and a half of the season. Then, when the Red Sox have won 5 in a row, have been 8-2 in their last 10, and just swept the Yankees, we're going to trade him for Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks out of nowhere. With it 6 weeks until the trade deadline, you're not working against the clock. There's no deadline approaching. There's no contract dispute. This is just being petty from the player side and probably being petty from the owner and the general managing side, from Craig Breslow. That's it. So that to me, think about the fan from that situation. What is the fan supposed to think? How is that? This is not Pittsburgh. We're not the Pirates. We're not struggling for cash. We're not counting our concession stand money every game. We're not the A's. This is the Boston Red Sox.
But what about the financial freedom they're going to be able to get?
So let's get to this. So do you have the audio, Mike?
We do. With Steve Phillips, MLB Network, friend of show, by the way.
Friend of show, Steve Phillips.
And listen, I about 80% agree with what Steve is saying, but Colin, on the other hand, does not.
Let's take a look.
I certainly understand why Craig Breslow, chief baseball officer for the Red Sox, made this deal. I would have done the same thing. I would have made a trade. Now, did he get enough back in return? That remains to be seen. But certainly the financial flexibility for the Red Sox, both short-term and long-term, could allow them to consider trades with players that have big contracts or to go out into free agency next offseason. But as we stand today, their offense is less, much less. Even though it frees up some at-bats for Roman Anthony to get more playing time and not have to go back to the minor leagues, they can't replace Devers' bat in that lineup.
That's it. You can't replace the bat in the lineup. That's why it's not worth it. If you're the Red Sox, yes, you're young. You have some up-and-coming stars. Roman Anthony, you just called up. I get that. But what is the Red Sox fan supposed to think at this very point in time when you trade Devers? What, we're still embracing a rebuild? Are we punting the season? Right. We just swept the Yankees. We're going to punt the season?
So they go out and get Bregman and Crochet. And Red Sox fans start going, okay, we're trying to make a comeback here. We're trying to win 90 games and go to the playoffs.
I took the Rover.
I did too. And we're going to get burned there, but that's neither here nor there. And Colin, Steve mentions and you mentioned best hitter. If you go to ESPN.com right now, click on the Red Sox and click on stats. Batting average leader, Rafael Devers. Home run leader, Rafael Devers. RBI leader, Rafael Devers. On base percentage, leader, Rafael Devers.
After the start he had to the season, too, after his first 20 games.
I know.
Like, what are you expecting the fan to think there?
I guess I am sitting on the fence. Colin, I don't think Devers is worth $250 million. I think if three years from now, the San Francisco Giants are probably going to regret that contract. The Giants are going all in. The Giants are doing what Red Sox fans, I think, have been wanting to do for years, and that's go all in and to compete for World Series again. I go back to what I told Christian Cat during the 2 to 4 hour and what I told you 10 minutes ago. This is a move that doesn't scream win now. You got Bregman and Crochet in the offseason. All right, great. We're trying to win now. Trading Devers to get Roman Anthony, West Palm Beach native, more at-bats. Colin, that does nothing for the Red Sox fan that wants to win now.
So the front office is operating like they're trying to win now. Why are you getting Bregman involved? Why are you signing him to that type of contract if you're not going to try to win now? Why do you get Bregman into the lineup at third base of all places if you're not trying to do something now? Just to what? Find a reason to get Devers out of town? Hope that Devers doesn't respond well and then you're going to ship him out? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And listen, we could X and O our way through the return. But the bottom line is none of those guys are going to help them tomorrow.
No.
Nobody there. And chances are nobody's going to help them 2 years from now. So now you're going to have the Red Sox, who let Xander Bogaerts walk, who hasn't been that good for San Diego, but still, they let him walk. They didn't get anything out of it. And then Mookie Betts, who they got nothing out of as well, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. And then Devers, too early to say, but is a Hall of Fame level bet. Mm-hmm. And we're going to
78 and 78. To Colin's point, that screams like more of a meddling in the middle organization, a cheap organization that refuses to spend money, not the mighty Red Sox.
The timing. What are you going to trade him June 15th? The deadline's not for 6 weeks. The Giants just came calling randomly? You weren't fielding calls for weeks on either team trying to put together the biggest haul. The Dodgers would have put together, they never would have done it, but the Dodgers would have put together a better haul than what the Giants did.
The biggest move at the deadline happened 6 weeks in advance.
It doesn't make sense. It is a slap in the face to the fan. And whether you agree with Devers and his antics and him being disagreeable about his position play and how he wants to play, and now I don't know if this is true, of whether he's going to play a position for San Francisco and how they're going to handle that. That remains to be seen. Maybe that's just Devers being super petty, and maybe the relationship was too separated to possibly be amended at any point. Maybe it was. Maybe it was just beyond repair. But that is a two-way street. That is a two-way street. And if Devers is going to sit here and say, and there were reports of how he responded to this, of saying he didn't feel valued, probably because of the Bregman thing, getting moved out of position, not being valued. Look at your paycheck. Being valued. They gave you a $330 million contract. Valued. What?
Right.
But to the Red Sox point, you paid him, and now we're going to get rid of him? I know you get rid of the cash. For what? All your prospects just got called up.
He's a massive headache. They don't want to deal with them anymore.
He's their best hitter. I don't care. I don't care if he's burning the clubhouse to the ground.
Hold on. What did Buster Olney say, Kyle? Discussed how the Red Sox were reportedly going to move Devers because he didn't respond appropriately to Red Sox owner John Henry.
And I wonder what that line is. If that line is sensitive or you had no choice. I lean on the side of sensitive. I
But-
do.